Sure. And just hundreds of things that you witnessed in between and over those years. Did you anticipate the type of emotional, how emotionally shaken you would be over all of these events that you witnessed? I mean, you're going into a job that probably were you ready for that?
No, I wasn't. I was ill prepared, and I didn't know it. I can remember the first homicide I ever went to and seeing the first deceased person.
Sure.
It was in a living room. I can picture it, and that was almost, early 90s, I guess, so 30 years ago, and I can still picture it. It's indelibly inked in my head. But back then you didn't, I don't know, now we bring in, and this is a good thing, we bring in, counselors and therapists. If you need any help,
Sure.
there's people you can talk to. Back then that really wasn't the case as much. I don't know. I wasn't prepared, but I got through it and got stronger for it. And as time went on, I got a little bit more used to it, and it was never normal. It was never ordinary, but I was able to deal with it.
So you saw media change. Obviously, the first story, CNN didn't exist. 24-hour news cycle didn't exist. And then as you finished your career, news really did change, and so did media. You had a lot of experience in media as well. So I want to thank you, because I know growing up, you're not much older than I am, but growing up, growing up, you did a great job. I think you made policing, or the image of police here in this area, just the fact that you could see you every day and you were representing the police, it was a good feeling. It's like we had our own spokesperson. You were of the people, but you were also representing the police.
Yeah, and there's a fine line. It's funny. Every time I ever did an interview in a big story, I had the reporters walk out of the room thinking, he didn't tell us enough. I had detectives on the other side saying, you said way too much. Yeah. So I'm always trying to find that, that place to walk where both sides are, I won't say happy, but content, I guess, to
Sure.
some degree. But, the detectives would rather have me completely button up and not say anything, and then the reporters want me to tell them every juicy detail. And again, that's somewhere in the middle is where I needed to be, and I learned that over time. But it changed so much. With the help of Robert Garcia back in 2008, we did the very first webcast by any police department in the United States. That was, 14 years ago. I can't believe that. Mm-hmm. And that also
was straight to you?
That was straight to you, and that
Mm-hmm.
changed tremendously my job, because it made it so much easier. I had a guy who would be willing to go out and shoot videos in the middle of the night of me standing in the middle of a street where a shooting had been.
Right.
The shooting's at midnight, 2 a.m. I got Robert out there pointing a camera at me, and I'm like half asleep because they woke me up. And there I'm talking about what happened, and then we could put that little 2-minute story, 3 minutes, whatever it was, on our website by morning, and everybody got the information straight to you.
Yeah.
In other words, straight from the police department. There was no filter. There was no in between. The media, God bless them, most of them do a very good job, but sometimes I got a little frustrated at the story that would come out that wasn't exactly the way I told them.
Right.
They maybe took some liberties once in a while. Some of them did. Most of them didn't. I had great relationships with most of the reporters, but be able to stand there and say, okay, Oxnard, this is what happened. I'm standing at the corner of this. It happened 2 hours ago. This is what we know. This is the individual that was involved. The guy was arrested. The guy was on the loose. This is what he looks like. It was a huge thing. And looking back, I didn't realize it. I don't think I realized at that point how important it was or how innovative it was. But looking back now it's like, oh, no one had heard of YouTube.
Sure.
14 years ago. So really still kind of a new thing. But today, it's commonplace. And I like to think that we kind of broke ground in that regard in terms of policing.
You did, and I wish that media would have continued, that the stations would still existed. To me, I think we would have more accountability today from our politicians, from law enforcement, from local employers. Everybody would be held more accountable if there was a reporter in their face asking them at the end of the day when they made that controversial decision, what happened, right? And we missed that. How we've advanced as a society, but we kind of digressed back, in media here locally.
There's a lot of good things about social media, but there's a lot of bad things about social media, and I cringe a lot when I see some of the things that are being said. People jump to conclusions very quickly. They'll jump to a conclusion based on a 3-second video or a 5-second video that they saw on, the Channel 4 News or whatever. And I always tell people, you don't know what happened just before that. You don't know what happened just after that. Don't base it on a 5-second clip.
Yeah.
But people like to jump to conclusions. They like to come up with quick answers. They like to feel like they know what happened based on that. And there's a reason a murder trial could take, 6 weeks or 3 months or whatever. There's a reason for that. And 100 witnesses. And it's not as simple as the 5-second clip that you might have seen on CNN tonight.
Sure.